Oh, come on. Okay. Okay. I was so worried it was going to transition into the next song, and I was like, I have so much to talk about. No! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Bees. If you've been watching the channel for a while, or even if you haven't, maybe you just caught my last Olivia Rodrigo reaction, you knew that we reacted to Sour, and there was a lot that I really enjoyed off of that record. But as time has gone on, I have found myself liking one song in particular. Now, I know we reacted to the whole album, and why am I just going to talk about like one song in particular? But I think it goes to show how if we have time to really sit with an album and time to maybe sit with a couple particular songs, and maybe that throws like my reaction out the window. Deja Vu off of Sour is becoming like one of my just like favorite songs. So all of that to say that I'm looking forward to tonight's album, Guts Spilled, right? So we're going to do the deluxe. This is the follow-up album to Sour, and then obviously the deluxe version, the Spilled. The guts have been spilled. It's giving gory. It's giving violence. It's giving malignant energy. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But there's some expectations here now. There are some expectations here. From before my immediate reaction, I think it was just Driver's License is a bop, how she's giving ode to maybe some of her influences, all of the Billy Joel references, but my expectations are a little bit high. Now let's see if that's fair to Ms. Rodrigo. Should I be doing that at all? Or maybe I should just be turning those expectations into excitement to see what we're going to get into. But before we continue, please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts as we go through the album. If you want to see us live, if you want to see any of these reactions before they come out on YouTube, go ahead and check out all the links in my description. I promise you, they are not scams. All right, folks. So this is it. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. Maybe you're getting up and it's a slow day, and then you see this reaction, you go, I'm excited now, right? That's what I'm here for. That's what I can provide you. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Guts Spilled, the deluxe version of Guts, released in 2023. So it's from 2024, 17 songs, 54 minutes, 36 seconds. First song, All American Bitch.
I pay attention to things that most people ignore. That make jokes about senseless cruelty, that's for sure. And I am built like a mother in a total machine. I feel free. Forgive and I forget. I know my age and I act like it. Got what you can't resist. I'm a perfect all-American. I am light as a feather, I'm as fresh as the air. Forgive and I forget. I know my age and I act like it. Got what you can't resist. I'm a perfect all-American bitch with perfect all-American lips. All the time, I'm grateful all the time. I'm sexy and I'm kind. I'm pretty when I cry.
That's like everything that made Sour kind of cool, but better, ladies and gentlemen. So I said this a few times in the Sour reaction where I really liked the softer, maybe like isolated vocals with just like an acoustic guitar, you know, that like folkier kind of stuff. I thought her voice came through so much better on those songs, and then I think, you know, maybe the other like piano ballads there. So we started off with that sound, and I'm like, yes, okay, we got more of that. That's what I wanted more of out of Sour. And then we get back to that punk rock kind of thing that we honestly really only dabbled in. I had heard so much leading up to Sour, like, oh, she really infuses a lot of like pop punk into things. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't really hit for me in Sour. You know, with like Brutal and Good For You. Again, she was definitely wearing her influences on her sleeve there, you know, calling upon some riffs and some progressions from Elvis Costello and Paramore and that kind of thing. and I didn't knock her for it, give the tip of the hat, of course. But here it comes through, it's a little less derivative, if that was a criticism that you had. And we're combining, two things I really wanted to see more of out of Sour right out of the gate here. And then just like, towards the end of the song, we bring it back down to like, I guess they're really just kind of just playing scales there, with her multiple vocal tracks right in that pocket where I found her vocals to be the best on those folkier songs, on those slower songs, from Sour. So we're already off to a really, really, really good start here. Really, really liking the vibe so far, ladies and gentlemen, liking the energy. Let us continue. Bad idea, right?
Haven't heard from you in a couple of months, but I'm out right now and I'm all bugged up. And you're calling my phone, you're all alone with all my friends, but you're sending me your new address. And I know we're done, I know we're through. But God, when I look at you, my brain goes, oh, can't hear my phone, I cannot hear my thoughts. See you tonight. Fuck it, it's fine.
Yes, I know that he's my ex, but can't two people reconnect? I only see him as a friend, the biggest lie I ever said. Oh yes, I know that he's my ex, but can't two people reconnect?
All my plans, I know I should stop, but I can't. And I told my friends it was asleep, but I never said where, in his sheet. And I pull up to your place on the second floor, and you're standing smiling at the door. And I'm sure I've seen much hotter men, but I really can't remember when.
My brain goes, oh, can't hear my phone. Idea, right? See you tonight.
Fuck it, it's fine.
Yes, I know that he's my ex, but can't two people reconnect? I only see him as a friend, the biggest lie I ever. Biggest lie I ever said.
So we'll get a little fade out there. Power pop punk, power pop rock punk. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna split hairs here. I'm already gonna talk about the album cover here. The album cover, like it looks a little bit more laid back. I mean, she's like laying down on it, but just like immediately, like so far from the first two songs being very high energy, very very punky, very right. I maybe the two album covers should be switched for me, just as far as like the general vibe so far. Again, we are only two songs into this record, so I'll probably come back to eat my words. But by the end of Sour, I felt like, a lot of the slower songs, a lot of the softer sounds really kind of ate that album up in a lot of good ways. And with 17 songs here, especially on the deluxe, there's going to be more than enough room for that. But so far, this is really like, it's giving the energy from the Sour album cover. Now, how transformative is that? You tell me. I really, 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 really like the pre-chorus of this song.
My brain goes, oh, can't hear my phone, I cannot hear.
I love the melodies going on there. And when we bring it back before the second chorus and we get those, there's a whole bunch of shit going
My
on.
brain goes, oh, can't hear my phone.
It's a little bit more chaotic. It's a little bit more detached there just by the production of the awes there, right? That like skipping sound. Is she back with High School Musical, dude? or maybe for a night. I don't know, right? It's not really my place to comment, but I got questions, right? And I need answers, god damn it. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like very polished, and I could definitely see if you just saw the Superman movie that was out, where it's like, oh, I'm a punk rock guy. It's like, no, you listen to radio punk. This is it's giving very radio punk. But as somebody who loves guitar-based music, right, rock and roll, to hear this back at like the top of it, it doesn't have to be the most deep or technically technically produced or composed or anything like that. This is fun guitar rock, and that's what I like about it. That's I give it the pass. Give it the pass. Oh, okay. And no, actually, one last thing about Bad Idea, right? I know there's a few bands that kind of sound like this, but again, she kind of wears her influences on her sleeves. It's not so derivative in the sense that, like, she's using very similar chord progressions, but this really gives Early's The Cars. So from that 1978 debut, which is one of the greatest debut albums of all time, to Candio, it's like that kind of sound that The Cars operated on. It's giving a lot of that, and I think Olivia knows a lot of like classic pop rock, and I that's just this song just exudes that on a couple different levels, from the synthier kind of sounds we're getting to how the bass kind of runs on top of everything. Anyway, okay, cool, fine, done talking about it. Next song, fuck, Vampire.
Look at you, cool guy, you got it. I see the parties and diamonds. Sometimes when I close my eyes, 6 months of torture you sold to some forbidden paradise. I loved you truly, but you made me look so naive. The way you sold me for parts as you sunk your teeth into me. Bloodsucker, fame fucker, bleeding me dry like a goddamn vampire. Real big mistakes, but you make the worst one look fine. I should have known it was strange. You only come out at night. I used to think I was smart, but you made me look so naive. I was smart, but you made me look so naive. The way you sold me for parts as you sunk your teeth. Sucker, fame fucker, bleeding me dry like a goddamn vampire.
Oh, come on. Okay. Okay. I was so worried it was going to transition into the next song, and I was like, I have so much to talk about. No. So that was Vampire, the lead single off of Guts. And sometimes, when I'm reacting to an album and I hear that something's the lead single, and maybe it's 8 songs into an album, or maybe it's the first song on the album, right? That's pretty common. I go, yeah, maybe, I can see it, but I like this song way better. This song would work way better. I can see why this was the lead single off of this one. Already 3 songs in, we're doing way more, at least seemingly right off the bat, way more interesting things with the production. So if we go back to All American Bitch, the, softer folk ends of things to start off the song, and we're basically just roller coastering between the punkier sections, the folkier section, the punkier section, the folkier section. And with this one, it's that piano bell that I talked about, that sort of end of things where I felt really kind of ate up a lot of Sour previously. And I don't recall, I could be wrong. We kind of treated those songs as kind of just like places to rest in that album. There wasn't a ton of peaks and valleys, not very dynamic in the sense of composition. This is just crazy. The constant like back and forth between the slower parts, and when it gets epic, man, it gets epic. I feel like I want to run into a goddamn wall. So really treating these builds with a lot of respect here. And I'm kind of happy to finally get to this song, because this song, for, a while, like one of the biggest clips of anything that had to do with Olivia Rodrigo, it was a mom, like, videoing her kid at Olivia Rodrigo show. The little girl's probably only like 7 or 8. She's just crying, like singing this part. And when she gets the bloodsucker fame fucker, she realizes that her mom's recording her. She goes, oh. And mom's like, no. It's fine. You know, she's like in, you know, she has an audience with her fucking idol, right? You know, and shit, you know, there's like 30-year-olds who'll do the same thing. Hey, I feel ya. The first time I saw Pearl Jam, they got on stage and I was like, something's going to happen to where I'm not going to be able to hear Pearl Jam. Like, this isn't about to happen. And then they started playing Daughter and I started to cry. Immediately just started to weep like a fucking baby. So I feel it. And with how this song kind of progresses and feels so epic, right? You know, I think you're really tugging on those emotions there. Now, like, the one thing I do have to say, like, she's interesting because it is poppy. She has such a young audience, but you know, there's a lot of expletives used, right? Now, as if you've watched any of my videos, I will use expletives like there's no fucking tomorrow, right? But it is weird to like, okay, here's somebody who like caters to like I wouldn't even say caters, but like is very popular with like a much younger audience, and you know, says like fucking bitch and all that, right? And I think maybe one could argue like, okay, well, you know, maybe you're saying that to be mature, but it's not really being mature because, you know, you're kind of just like shoehorning this in. And I can see that argument to a point. I can see that argument to a point, but I think she's already like with Sour alone. So forget everything that we've heard off of this, has already kind of established like, let's make like pop just like unapologetically like kind of nasty, you know, like we have all of these nasty feelings, which, you know, we might use art and music to kind of transcend those into something beautiful, into a created work, where there's just like a sense of transparency about it with her, where it's like, I really wouldn't take it without the fame fucker. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Does that make any sense? I know I'm just yapping here. I was told that my perspective on Olivia will change once we get to Lacy. So, whatever that means, here's Lacy.
Sweetest thing on this side of hell, dear angel Lacy, eyes white as daisies. Did I ever tell you that I'm not doing well? Ooh, I care, like perfume that you wear. I realize people are people, but it's like you're made of angel dust. Lacy, oh Lacy, it's like you're out to get me. You poison every little thing that I do. Yeah, I despise my rotten mind and how much it worships you.
All right, so here we go with Lacy, and we're kind of backing off of some themes that we saw in Sour, you know, this element of, it's not like self-image, this, you know, this constant, you know, comparing your life to other people's. Well, I think the concentration on Sour was a little bit more on like the social media thing, but I think this is just kind of like in general. She's jealous of Steve Lacy. I would be jealous of Steve Lacy too. However, I feel as though that is not the case here. Now, as much as I've liked the vocals up to this point, the whisper end of things, it's not traditionally my favorite for any artist, right? Lives lucky that I'm liking this album so far. I think she's lucky without me saying fuck all about anything. That all to say, you know, it's still a very nice sounding song as far as the composition and, you know, how it kind of builds towards the middle and then we kind of drop back off towards the bottom there. You know, and I think, you know, her perspective on it right here kind of settles it. You know, I despise my jealous eyes and how hard they fell for you. I despise my rotten mind, how much it worships you. So, you know, in that sense where it's like, you know, okay, here's this person, I'm very jealous of them. I want to quit thinking about it, but it's because of this, you know, rotten mind being jealous of somebody, you do have to hold them in high regard if you are to be jealous of them. And so it's like this just shitty cyclical circus, if you will. If all of her songs were done like this, it would get stale pretty quickly. Thankfully, she's diverse in her vocals. Yeah, no, absolutely. But given, this isn't a especially flowery topic, I can see that. Now, because I went to like an arts elementary and middle school, I was in the choir for a second. My like the choir instructor always told us that like whispering is terrible for your voice. I forget why. That might not even be true, but I remember it. I was really young when I heard it. I was like, oh, okay. So if I want to be a good singer, I guess I just won't whisper a lot. I think it's like, one of those things where it's like, yeah, you probably do it now and it sounds really nice. Like think back to like, just like Axl Rose with like all of like the vocal frying that he did over the years, and he can't sing like at all anymore. Now that's, he's screaming, he's like really frying his vocals there. I think something similar is happening when you do whisper. If there's any vocal instructors in the chat or in the YouTube comments that can tell me otherwise if that's incorrect. But at least my idea always was, when I was told really young, that like whispering is apparently terrible for your voice. Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl.
Searching how to start a conversation on a website. Talked to the top guy, swore it was his type. Guess that he was making out with boys at the whole night. Everything I do is tragic. Every guy I like is gay. The morning after I panic, stumbled over all my words. Made it weird, then made it worse each day that I'm alive. It's social suicide.
So they might as well have called this song things you think about right before you're about to fall asleep and now you can't go to sleep anymore. Very, very relatable with this one. Another, tip of the hat to her as far as, like really identifying and, building, this community of like maybe more like, like adolescent fans, sharing her own coming of age lessons to them. This one's, it's a tale of, identity crisis and social anxiety. That's what this one is. I hate all my clothes. Feel like my skin doesn't fit right over my bones. I stumbled all over all my words. I made it weird. I made it worse. Searching how to start a conversation. Hey, show of hands. Who's ever Googled something relationship wise or like, oh, how do I do this? Right. We live in this digital age where we're like, well, let's just see if Google thinks I'm crazy or not. Right. So I really like the approach here as far as, this is like something that's like very identifiable, I think, in a lot of people, or should be. People are just born with game. I do not give a shit. It's just like complete apathy for what people think of them, and we hate you for that. No, and I'll even say this. I'll get on my little soapbox here real quick. This was always something that I really struggled with growing up. Honestly, just putting my face out on the internet is just exposure therapy more than anything else. I think it was an episode of Vsauce, honestly, where I hadn't really thought about it before, but like being very worried about what people think of you. Like, oh my God, I said that thing and it wasn't the right thing to say. And everybody laughed. Like everybody thinks I'm a fucking idiot. Well, all those things that you think of like, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Think about how often you think about other people. Not terribly often, because you're too worried thinking about yourself. That's the same for everybody else. They might think about it for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And then they go, oh, okay. All right. So give yourself a little bit more grace. As far as that goes. I was saying a lot of autistic individuals being included relate to the experiences she's talking about here, just because she's writing about her experiences as a homeschool girl. There are shared experiences too. Yeah, and we may have touched on that last time, although I don't know. So, Olivia being homeschooled, maybe not having as many social reps as those that are either in public or even private schools, just where you're around kids all the time and you get those reps in, you get those social reps in. That's obviously her crutch in this one. But like I said, just it's very relatable to a lot of different people. Now, I'm sorry, if you're a cis lady and every dude you try to go out with is gay, that just doesn't work out for you. You have my sympathies. But maybe you made a new BFF. I don't know. That's the perspective I'd like to take on that one. Okay. Anyway, making the bed. We're moving on. Making the bed.
Another perfect moment that doesn't feel like mine. Another thing I forced to be a sign. But sometimes I feel like I don't wanna be where I am, getting drunk at a club with my fair weather friends, push away all the people who know me the best. Pull the sheets over my head, making the bed. Every night I wake up from this one recurring dream. I'm driving through the city. Brakes go out on me. It's something I dread, and I'm playing the victim so well in my head. But it's me who's been making the bed. Me who's been making the bed. Pull the sheets over. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to be where I am. Counting all of the beautiful things I regret.
Why am I still bothering my
But
head?
it's me who's been making the bed. Me who's been making the bed. Pull the sheets over my head. Making the bed.
So this song to me stands as a really good example of things that are making this album such a perfect progression from Sour, in the sense that we're playing with a lot more themes, a lot more different kinds of themes here. I think that in Sour, I think I had said like a lot of the songs were, it was tailored towards maybe like this one relationship of like getting over somebody, but like, okay, here's what I feel about this person, but here's 97 different things that I think about this or this situation. Whereas this is a little bit more diverse so far. So for themes already, that's what I'm going to do here. Kind of running with this phrase, well, you made the bed, you lay in it, right? Where it's like, well, this is kind of your doing, so you got to deal with it. These ideas of maybe playing the victim in your head and, like you have all these people around you, you're at a club, you're drinking, but they're fair weather friends. How much of that is, they're there because you're Olivia Rodrigo and you're famous and successful, or how many of them are there because they truly care about you and they're going to be the one kneeling with you in the bathroom, holding your ponytail up. If you get my drift, right? That's a good friend. Or what? There's that one clip of like the girl who's like stupid drunk on the train and her friend is like carrying her up the stairs in the subway station in New York. That's a friend. That's who Olivia needs. So a lot of it is like, here's my situation. And now I have to deal with this. Which, is also like, this is not a happy song at all. It's quite depressing in that sense. So you make your bed, you pull the sheets over your head just to try to forget about everything, if you're kind of just stewing in these negative thoughts for long enough, and I wonder if I can't stop at the red light, I can't swerve off the road. Is that just maybe a device used for this song, or maybe, call back to certain things, maybe in driver's license where, even past events are still kind of controlling her life, so to speak. I read somewhere, it's because my life feels so out of control, right? Yeah, so from a thematic end of things, I'm really liking what this album's putting forward so far in terms of like how diverse it is. And that's what I like to see, I think, more than anything else. I think I do have a few series on the channel where I'm looking at the progressions of certain artists or bands as we go through them. And I'm really quite satisfied with this so far. Being self-aware while also being self-sabotaging is one of the cruelest things our brains can do. Yeah. Impressed to be able to write a sad song about the struggles of getting famous without coming across as whiny and privileged. Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of the self-aware coming through. Already saying that, yeah, and I'm playing the victim so well in my head, right? To where it's not like, oh, poor me. It's like, well, I'm kind of like the one who's got to deal with this first. This isn't really anybody's problem but mine. But instinctually, you want to be, the person who's right in almost every scenario. It's just instinct, I guess. Logical. More piano-based pops. Bops.
I stood, but now the current's stronger. No, I couldn't get out if I tried, but you convinced me, baby. It was all in my mind. And now you got me thinking 2 + 2 = 5, and I'm the love of your life. 'Cause if rain don't pour and sun don't shine, then changing you is possible. You could have instead said I was too young, I was too soft. Can't take a joke, can't get you off. Why do we do this? I look so stupid thinking logical. I know I'm half responsible, and that makes me feel horrible. Oh, logical. Love is never logical. I know I could have stopped it all. God, why didn't I stop it all?
This one got so real. Yeah, I mean, it's like the downtrodden nature of this is kind of contagious, because I just feel like shit. Yeah, so I think this is kind of be summed up in this line, right? 2 + 2 = 5. To me, that's a reference to 1984, the book by George Orwell, and a few terrible movies, I'm sure. And that whole kind of has to deal with how the government basically tries to brainwash people, gets it to believe that 2 + 2 = 5, and you don't have any questions on it. So it's not very logical, right? And that's kind of the thing. So like trying to believe these things that aren't, for the sake of love, for the sake of, maybe keeping a relationship together, when in actuality that's both parties would probably be better off. And like I said, like this one was like way too real. Problems are all solvable because loving you is loving every argument you held over my head. Brought up the girls you could have had instead. Said I was too young. Said I was too soft. Can't take a joke. Can't get you off. So relaying some otherwise just very intimate aspects of this, and making it a point that this probably didn't make a ton of sense in retrospect. Hindsight's 2020. This just pisses me off, because like, okay, let's say, for the sake of fucking argument, I can attest. Let me be the voice of potential reason for this dude, right? If for whatever reason somebody can't, quote, get you off, that's a conversation, first of all. Then it's maybe you take a blue pill and you shut the fuck up, or you say, no, this isn't for me. This is like, I need this. Can you do this? Oh, no. Okay, bye. That's where that stops. But there's like this, like, obviously here, unfortunately there's this case of like, well, no, that's something I get to hold over somebody's head. And obviously that makes the other person feel like shit. And this is the result. This is just like the worst way to gaslight. Maybe don't date young, inexperienced girls. Get him back.
I met a guy in the summer and I left him in the spring. He argued with me about everything. He had an ego and a temper and a wandering eye. He said he's 6'2" and I'm like, dude, nice try. But he went, do I love him, do I hate him? I guess it's up and down. If I had to choose, I would say it right now. Spaces and make disappointed friends because everyone knew all of the shit that he do. He said I was the only girl, but that just wasn't the truth. And when I told him how he hurt me, he told me I was tripping. But I am my father's daughter, so maybe I could fix him. I wanna make him lunch. I wanna break his heart and be the one to stitch it up. Wanna kiss his face. Back off. I wanna kiss his face with an uppercut. I wanna meet his mom and tell her her son sucks. Yeah. I wanna get him back. I wanna make him really jealous. Wanna make him feel bad. Oh, I wanna get him back, back, back. I get him. I get him. I get him. I get him. Good. I got him really good.
All right, so what a 1-2 punch between this song and the last song. And I feel like she's really balancing this tight rope quite well, because you can look at this song as an extension of that last song, even if it isn't true. And maybe it's not. Maybe you're telling me in the YouTube comments, no, this was about this and this is about the other thing. I don't give a shit. I'm just listening to the album. What the album tells me, okay, here's all these things. They're conflicted. This isn't very logical. That extends kind of to here. You know, you want to get him back. You know, maybe you can fix him. You know, so this line about, you know, I am my father's daughter. I do believe it was Olivia Rodrigo whose dad's a psychiatrist, psychologist, or something like that. So knowing that little nod there, that lyric makes some sense to me there. This conflicting thing, you know, like I want to kiss him, want to get him back, you know, like but I want to kiss him with an uppercut. You know, just these conflicting things, but bringing the party back in the sense of the instrumentation, the composition, really live things up, but doesn't make us forget about, you know, the last song and maybe, you know, the damage that she's going through and still kind of going through. But this is, you know, an attempt to kind of take the power back there. Make sure that, okay, here's your lasting impact on me. Now I really kind of want my turn here. So in that way, I think she is kind of balancing this, because I was like, at the start of the song, I was like, okay, are we going to get into like a fun little jump up and down kind of song? And we did, but we still hate this guy. But he's still really cute and funny, you know, all at the same time. Are you afraid of being bald? 100%. Love is embarrassing.
And now it don't need to think God loves fucking embarrassing. Just watch as I crucify myself for some weird second. I'm like, God, how could I be so stupid? You found a new version of me, and I damn near started World War III. Jesus, what was I?
You know, with that one, it's a cute enough little ditty, right? 2.5 minutes, short and sweet. Now, you know, like I said, the parties come back a little bit sonically from that last song. It's a little bit jumpier. Other than that, I guess I can kind of just go along with what I had said. Really, with a lot of these songs, like, this is relatable. Like, you know, there have been a few, like, I guess, like, maybe more like brief relationships that I've been in. Hey, Jerry B's past relationship talk. Get in here, folks. But no, but like, you know, you meet somebody. Oh yeah, I like you. You like me, whatever. And then you know, go out for a while and then you don't, and then some more time passes and you go, dude, what the fuck? Why was that a good idea? None of that worked. And the signs were all there from the beginning. This is kind of what this is for me. Maybe not like from the beginning. This but this feeling of like, I don't know how embarrassing it is, but you look back on it and you just go, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I could have been like learning to paddleboard. I could have been like riding my bike instead of doing whatever I was doing with this person. You know what I mean? For some weird second string loser. I think this is the one where they were in a slump, so they tried to write a song with only 3 chords. Yeah, like I was saying, it doesn't really bring a ton of anything to it, but relatable, again, in the sense it works, again, with the more adolescent audience, just say high school there. More than anything, this is just kind of continuing that idea, trying to help adolescents in their coming of age, right? If you just mention high school in a song, that's gonna, just be that much more real and timely for somebody who could be dealing with these things in high school, right? Obviously, it's not mentioned, explicitly, like, oh, if you're listening to this in high school, but just hearing that from an artist who's otherwise, coming at you with some truth bombs. Let's be honest with you, folks. That's where this works. Someone called me a weird second string loser and put that in a song. I would walk into the woods and never return. How do you come back for that? Well, I'll put it to you this way. The second string on one team is the other team's first team, and that team sucks. So maybe that's how you rationalize it. Well, I'm actually first string for this team. And then it's like, yeah, well, you play for the New York fucking Jets. Like, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. The Grudge. Not by Tool. Not the one by Tool.
Now I hear your voice every time that I think I'm not enough. And I try to be tough, but I wanna scream. How could anybody do the things you did so easily? And I say I don't care, I say that I'm fine, but I can't go unhappy, not knowing my heart hurt people, and we both drew blood, but man, those cuts were never equal. And I try to be tough, but I wanna scream. How could anybody do the things you did so easily? And I say I don't care, I say that I'm fine, but I can't let it go. I've tried for so long. It takes strength to free up, to watch me fall. You have everything and you still want more. I try to be tough, try to be mean. It takes strength to forgive, but
All right, so that was The Grudge, and I think in a way, this has really been so far a tale of 2 albums as far as like maybe the first half and the second half. Maybe everything from Logical on, you could argue, or I don't even think you need to argue that heavily. That we're kind of talking about the same scenario, same line of thinking with this. With this individual, right? With this relationship. And I wanted to say this, and I don't believe that I've said it. I didn't say it in Logical, but I think it extends from Logical and The Grudge, where in Logical, where she's, talking about like, oh, well, you're saying how I can't get you off and all those things. She said it with like such conviction and she built her voice up, and that was kind of the crescendo. And the same thing's happening here. And that effect to really get that emotion out when there's really not a ton of music going on behind you. Again, this is where I think her take on the piano ballad works really well, where it's like it's like the piano is there as an aside. It's really just to hear the emotion coming out of her through the lyrics and then through the voice, ultimately, to where I feel like this is like we'll see. We still have a few more songs here. We still have to get into the deluxe tracks. Is really the kind of crescendo to that in a way. And it's optimistic to an extent because she's she's not there yet, you know, that she's still dealing with this. It's gonna be fine. It just isn't yet. And it sucks to have been hurt by this person, you know, so much, but while still having all of these feelings, and it just pulls you back into that moment. And again, of course, not leaving us with anything that we can't put into our own life, you know, in the shower, in the car, in the mirror before bed, you know, all the arguments that you've had against somebody in your head. You know, I think we can all really get down with that. For as much as Olivia kind of emotes through her voice and does it pretty well, you know, once she gets those like louder bits there, you know, where she's just shouting, she needs to take a page out of a song called The Grudge that came out like 20 plus years ago, and she just needs to scream for 20 seconds. So I think as well as The Grudge could have worked for the last song on really any other album, or this album specifically, we got 2 more tracks for the standard version, and of course, a few more tracks for the deluxe version. So we will continue here with track 11, Pretty Isn't Pretty.
Try and stay calm, 'cause there's always something missing. There's always something in the mirror that I think looks wrong. And pretty isn't pretty enough. What do you do when everybody's keeping it up? And you still feel so insecure.
You know, somebody made the comment here in chat that it was giving like Cure vibes, and I can definitely see that. You know, again, I think maybe a lot of the rock influence, or I think you could make the Cure's a rock band. I mean, it's an offshoot. It's maybe more shoegazy, not so new wavy kind of, you know, poppy shoegazy, I guess. I don't know how. I don't really know how to describe it. But, you know, she has used a lot of these influences, and I feel like they're from around the same kind of like time frame, right? So if it wasn't Elvis Costello, like I said earlier in the album, I thought it sounded a lot like the Cars. I think the Cure is a pretty apt comparison for this one, but all the same, still making it very Olivia Rodrigo in the sense of the theming here. So this one's pretty to the point, right? It's a self-image, it's a self-esteem thing. You know, it seems as though this never-ending battle with beauty standards. You know, I could try every lipstick in every shade, but I'd always feel the same. And you know, just going on about that, really. I chased this dumb ideal my whole fucking life, and none of it matters. None of it ends. You just feel like shit over and over again. So maybe in that last song where, you know, we felt like there was a little bit more optimism happening, I feel like this one's like a lot less optimistic, because there isn't like you should just like feel good no matter who you are. But I think that's actually kind of a credit to Olivia here, because it's a lot easier said than done. So she's not even gonna say it.
When am I gonna stop being a pretty young thing that guys? When am I gonna stop being great for my age and just start being good? When will it stop being cool to be quietly misunderstood? When does wide-eyed affection and all good intentions start to not be enough? When will everyone have every reason to call all my bluffs? And when are all my excuses of learning my lessons gonna start to feel sad? But I fear that they already got all the best parts of me. And I'm sorry that I couldn't always be your teenage dream. They all say that it gets better the more you grow. Yeah, they all say that it gets better, but what if I don't know? They all say that it gets better the more you grow. Yeah, they all say that it gets better, but what if I don't?
All right. I know how I said The Grudge would have been a really good way to end an album, but obviously we will continue with the deluxe tracks. But given that this was the last track on the standard release, this song was really good. I think, we've probably definitely heard themes of like, okay, well, like what'll happen if I get older? Will I still be like remembered for like good things from like Taylor Swift, right? We have a few songs of those, but with how like this is like a little less like maybe flowery, I guess, in terms of lyricism, and I think that's a really great benefit to Olivia Rodrigo's songwriting. It's all fairly blunt, if I'm going to make that comparison, and it's very refreshing hearing the way that she puts some things, because it is just so blunt. While also having like pretty good wordplay, or just like very wise, maybe beyond her years way of putting things. When I'm gonna stop being great for my age and just start being good. That, I think to me really sums up the whole song and what struggle we have, where it's like, it's not even like that she's saying that she's not grateful for the success that she's had so far, but it's like, when is it like, when are you just going to start paying attention to like maybe my prowess? And that's actually something that I've even kind of been saying this whole time. I don't know how, I know Olivia Rodrigo's younger. I didn't take that she was still younger than 20 when she wrote most of this album. I figured that she was in her early 20s. But I guess all that to say that like that hasn't really been at the top of my mind, more so maybe just that she has a much younger audience, but she's way more their peers than anything else here. Maybe she wrote this when she at a much younger age. And so it just hearing that is like really refreshing and like very quite interesting. Great for your age when you're just going to start being good. And I think like, sorry, folks, she's given me like a ton of shit to relate back into my own life. It's not really a secret here anymore. I went to like journalism school. I really liked writing. I was one of the best like writers in all of my classes. And then you start college and you're with kids from all around the state, other states, other countries, and you see their work and you go, holy fuck, is that good? Like, I would have never even thought about that. So like that was an example for me. Like, it's like, okay, I am no longer just great at all. I was great from my high school, but now I might just be pretty good. I'm not even probably just good here. And that's something you learn around that age, like when you're going to college, 18, 19 years old. So that's it for me there, but also beyond that, beyond like, maybe like if that's a commentary on, how she wants to see her art and her creativity, like, okay, great for your age, but like, when is it really going to start getting picked up? That extends to really just, all of the struggles that you deal with as you're growing up, right? This theme of coming to age, that's kind of what started out with Sour being, with brutal, like, it's brutal out here. And you're just kind of figuring that out for the first time. It sounds very chaotic. That was a very like lively kind of song, but this one's a little bit more introspective, a little bit more methodical, a little bit more downtrodden in the sense where it's like, fuck, like it's just going to start. I'm kind of unk status around here. I'm 27. If I can say one thing to that, it's, it never stops. You just get a little bit better at either ignoring it or bobbing and weaving. Just kind of, whoop, oh, saw that coming. Huh. Not this time. It doesn't stop though. It just keeps coming. So you just get better with dealing with it more than anything else here. But really more than anything else here, it's a great head on her shoulders. Hey, maybe you'll always be great. This is great, Olivia. This is great. She didn't need me to tell her that, but I said it. God damn it. You get better at distracting yourself. Not even distracting yourself. Like I feel like, you get better at bobbing and weaving. You get better at like seeing like bullshit coming down the road. Just like what? Not this time. So that was the finale of the standard release, but we got a few more songs. So I'll give my final thoughts and conclusions once these are done. But for the first deluxe track, so to speak, we have Obsessed.
She's beautiful, I know you loved her. I know I'm butthurt, but I can't help it. No, I can't help it. I'm so obsessed with your ex. I know she's been asleep. Every detail you have ever told me, so be careful, baby. I'm so obsessed with your ex. Yeah, I'm so obsessed with your ex.
Jesus Christ.
I know you love me, and I know it's crazy, but every time you call my name, I think you mistake me for her. You both have moved on. You don't even with your friends. Is she good in bed? Do you think about her? No, I'm fine. It doesn't matter. Tell me, is she easygoing, never controlling, well traveled, well read? I'm glad you make me so
So thematically, we're going to break from tradition because can't relate. But how about that? Holy hell, was that fun. And just... I think I can say with complete confidence, I don't think I've ever heard a song quite like this one. Maybe production-wise, just hearing like, the waves of this album, how, it kind of builds up and then goes back down. Definitely not on the same like theme here, but hey, pop off. I feel like this is like a quintessential Olivia Rodrigo song. Somebody said like, this like might be like the other side to Deja Vu. And it kind of is, but not really. So, Deja Vu was like, oh, you're going to go through all these things that we did together with this new person. It's going to be like Deja Vu. And, it's a little bit more even keeled as far as the production. This one's just like very chaotic. And especially the theming here and the lyrics is just really quite intriguing to me. Like I said, I don't know if I've ever heard like another song say like, hey, like, like, I get it. You're with me now. You and your ex left on good intentions, but like baddie alert. Am I right? Like, and again, like quintessential Olivia Rodrigo in the sense that, she like what I think she decides to be very forthright with and very transparent about isn't necessarily, it's not like she's not saying things that she's not talking about things that other people aren't talking about it, but it's how she's putting it into words and into songs. And this one's like a breath of fresh air. Too, because I'm obsessed, not with anybody's ex, but definitely this song. Yeah, no, this one was crazy fun. And I think, I haven't talked enough about this, but her sense of humor comes through these songs. And even songs that really don't have much room for humor, she's putting them in. And then this one was just a party. This song was just a party. Girl, I've always been. Oh, do we get more acoustic guitar, Olivia? Please, God.
Baby doll, you have changed. That's the things I call friends. I got panic rooms inside my head. I get down with crooked men, but I am the girl I've always been. I got wrapped up in the game then. So don't say that I've been acting different. I'm nothing if I'm not down with crooked men, but I am the girl I've always been. I got wrapped up in the game again. You woke up in an empty bed and turn you in, but I am the girl I've always
I'm sorry. That was great. The ending of that was fantastic. And the song as well. Not just saying that, oh, it was great because it ended, right? No. So really like, and this isn't even like folky. It's a little bit more like, country, just a little bit of southern twang going on in the guitars there. Which is, I think maybe this even had place on the standard release. Maybe this, or maybe a song like it, because I really like this as opposed to some of this theming that we saw in the second half of the standard release. In terms of, there's this battle with image, and then there's this battle of like getting over certain people, where this one, it's a little bit more planting your flag. Like, no, this is me. This is me. This is who I've always been. I might not be perfect, but I'd take me over whatever shit's going on in your neck of the woods. No. And Kook, I got to agree with you there. It more of like an indie, like, you might make calls for like, oh, Olivia needs to be more rock, needs to be a little bit more indie. Sonically, musically, instrumentally, the piano ballads aren't my favorite songs, but especially on this album, those songs have been quintessential to the feeling of the album and have really been vessels for maybe to get the most important information out to the audience about where Olivia has been since the last album, where she's at creatively, and all this other stuff. So I just want her to keep doing her. Val says the best song of her discography is next. Argue with the Wall. Okay. Scared of My Guitar.
Maybe I'm just overwhelmed. Maybe I'm confused. Barely sleep when you sleep next to me. But I keep thinking I'll find a cure. I say that I'm fine. I tell you all the time I've never felt so happy. And I'm so scared of my guitar. If I play it, then I'll think too hard. Once you let the thought in, then it's already done. So I lay in your arms and pretend that it's love. And I'll think too hard. Once you let the thought in, then it's already done. So I lay in your arms and pretend that it's love. Yeah, I lay in your arms and pretend that it's love. 'Cause what if I never find anything better? The doubt always creeps through my mind. So we'll stay together, 'cause how could I ever trade something that? But I lay in your arms and pretend that it's love. Yeah, I lay in your arms and pretend it's enough.
So you say it's the best song in the discography. I don't know about that, but it's pretty damn good. It's pretty good. Again, really like the way that she puts things, just going back to, when will I stop being great for my age and just start being good? Just like that way of thinking, I like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense how you could think that and then put that into a song. Just as like a one simple example, scared of my guitar, me thinking as we're getting through the song, why would you be scared of your guitar? Because it cuts right through to the heart. It knows me too well, so I got no excuse. I can't lie the same that I lie to you, which like, oh man. But no, as far as songwriting goes, this one is upper echelon of Olivia Rodrigo songs. How did this not make the album? It got published. It's out there. It's out there for all to enjoy. But this one had like, again, some of the better songwriting, and I don't know what kind of direction they were going with the standard release, as far as like, I was welcome to, more rock sound, and I knew that piano ballads were going to happen, but I felt like this kind of sound just with the guitar, just seemingly her and the guitar, and I think we got some strings there in the background as well. Yeah, put that into post, right? Maybe towards the end of if the standard track listing was 12 songs, make it 13 and put this right after the Grudge. And I'm thinking we're just fine there. Because it's not only just she could have gone off on so many tangents, all the things that let's get into Stranger.
I woke up this morning and I sat up straight in bed. I had the strangest feeling of this weight off of my chest. I hadn't felt that hopeful since the day that you left, and it felt nice, so nice. 'Cause I was half myself without you. Now I feel so complete, and I can't even remember what made me lose all that sleep. I cried a million rivers for you, but out of all the things I did to try and win your love, how did that happen? I can't imagine ever doing all that stuff for just some guy, just some guy. Oh, no, I had to stay, you had to go, and it was mean, but it doesn't matter anymore, though. There's nothing left for me to sing. I scream without you. Now I feel so complete. And if I'm not enough for you, you're not enough for me. I fought a million battles, but you can't get to me now. You're a stranger I know everything about.
You know what this song was, ladies and gentlemen? To me, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, this song is like you're playing Apex Legends. But you're playing Apex Legends, and you're in a team fight. Then another team comes and flanks you. They're gonna try and third team, and you stave them off. And it's just you and your boys, right? Just you and your team. You guys survived it. Check the coast. It's all clear. You heal up with that med pack. Actually, fuck that. You heal up with that Phoenix kit. You rise again, and you're ready to take it all the way home. You're ready to take it all the way home. No, I say that in terms of this is like pretty healing, I guess. Again, I think for the deluxe, I was expecting songs that had like maybe nothing to do with the album, but this seems to be maybe the other side of, maybe I was a little bit wrong of Scared of My Guitar. Maybe the person that she's with in that is different from the person we were dealing with in the standard album. This, to me, my interpretation of, you're just a stranger I know everything about. You've kind of compartmentalized the person who you were with, seeing the time that is no longer, seeing the time to which you guys were no longer together. You've become a different person. They've become a different person. You're effectively strangers, but you do know so much about that person now. But they're stranger to the point where it's like, you're crying yourself to sleep. You can't even remember what that is. So effectively, they're just completely out of your life at this point. This is the last song here on Guts Spilled Standard and Deluxe. This is So American.
And he's got hands that make hell seem cold. Feet on the dashboard. He's like a poem. I wish I wrote. And he laughs at all my jokes. And he says I'm so bad. God, I'm so boring. And I'm so rude. Can't have a conversation if it's not all about you. The way you dress and it's just a little too soon. But if the conversation ever were to come up, I don't wanna assume this stuff. But ain't it I'm gonna marry him if he keeps this shit off. I might just be in love. Stop it!
Oh, nice little behind the scenes here. So you can only imagine that was either the producer on the track, which is probably Dan No Name, as we like to call him around here. Yeah, this was a nice little exclamation point on the album, and ends. Well, again, I'm comparing a deluxe album to a standard release in terms of guts to sour here. But definitely ending it on a much lighter note, a much more optimistic note. Seems as though the road ahead isn't as, scary as it once was. Is this, that kind of worldly kind of experience you need to kind of gather when you are an adolescent to make things a little less scary. And in this way, this is through the lens of finding somebody you really like. And it starts out with this scene, driving on the right side of the road. Says, I'm pretty wearing his clothes. Says, I'm so American. So she just really happy that there's a foreign, perhaps more exotic guy treating her to be passenger princess here is kind of what I'm grabbing it as. But, goes into these, other scenes, just talking about the way that they dress, the books that they read, and all these other things, and starting to appreciate the small things in somebody, whereas, you're coming from a relationship where you just kind of wanted to run and get the hell out of there. It's about her current boyfriend, which seems to be going strong. Cute song. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. I like how we're kind of ending things on a much lighter note here, even though this is the standard release of things. I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to really gather a full opinion on this project, the standard release. Usually, a lot of the time, I do like to just listen to the standard release of things. Sour, you guys made Sour a pretty popular video for me, so I figured that I could extend the courtesy of saying thank you by giving you the deluxe version of Guts here. But I was worried that I really wouldn't be able to gather maybe a consensus with so many songs. It is sometimes a struggle for me here on the channel when I'm reacting to longer albums, albums with longer songs, and that dictate a longer runtime maybe. But there's 17 songs here. For my conclusion, I had heard maybe once or twice here in the chat that, maybe Guts has better songs, but maybe as a cohesive album, Sour was a better experience. I agree with one side of that, and I disagree with the other. I definitely agree that individual songs on this album were better, but I disagree in the sense that this was not as good of an album experience to date. Small sample size, I get it. This is the best thing Olivia Rodrigo has put. My applause button OBS works so much better on Linux. So, what did I like? I really enjoyed that we just got more Olivia Rodrigo, all the things that we came to know and like about Olivia from Sour, and expanded on a little bit here. So, I was told, and I kind of knew from Brutal and Good For You, that there were some punk rock influences in Sour, but that was really the extent of it. We leaned a little bit more heavily into that sound in the standard and in the deluxe a little bit more here. And then obviously the other side of that, sonic coin, I guess, would be the piano ballads. And I think because how this album was laid out, I think you can make the case that this was kind of a tale of two albums, where I think the first 6 songs having to deal with so many different types of elements of Olivia's life. I think not that all the messaging to me on Sour fell short, but a lot of the songs just had to deal with the one situation. And as a listener, the general audience, so to speak, it can, not to say that it becomes a little old, but I'm looking for different things. And I think that, the good part about Sour was there was different elements of that relationship that she decided to make individual songs about. But here we're talking about a few different things. So, here's making the bed as far as her dealing with maybe the situations that she puts herself into. Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl. Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl. This idea of social anxiety. And, just oh my God, I said something stupid, which everybody has thought about that. I think you can take one relationship and make it very relatable, but just talking about different aspects of things and making those relatable, I think just casts a much wider net. So maybe in that sense, it's not as cohesive. It's not as directed towards one little thing, but I disagree. I disagree in the sense that I think between Sour and Guts, there's these themes of coming to age, of trying to navigate the world as a fresh new adult. And I felt like Guts carried those themes a little bit more broadly in terms of everything that we discussed as a whole. But once we got into it, it's her transparency, it's her honesty, it's her sense of humor that kind of paints it as it's Olivia, right? Nobody else could have done it really the same way, at least that I know of, and especially maybe not in, maybe today's gambit of pop stars. Now, again, I complain about it a little bit. The whisper singing, that's just me. It's a little grating, but there wasn't so much of that I think it ruined any song or it ruined the messaging of any type of theme. And in terms of that, I like how the standard release was laid out. We, instead of maybe making the whole album about one thing, we're kind of back-ending it towards the back of the album, the second half of the album, where then you look at Logical, Get Him Back, Love is Embarrassing, and The Grudge as maybe a linear narrative, so to speak, or definitely dealing with the same types of things. And then we get to the deluxe tracks, and they're just so much fun, I think, on the whole. I think I had maybe a little bit of trouble determining what Scared of My Guitar really meant. I think I got the first half of it. I think the way that she puts certain things, I'm scared of my guitar because I'm even more honest, which I think also answers, maybe a question you may have had. It's like, oh God, why is she saying all this shit? Why is she talking about how this dude can't get her off or anything? If, because I know people are sensitive to lyrics, but like, up yours. Because that's what music does to her. But she's, talking about this guy, and I still got, the loser from the first, from the second half of the standard release in my mind. But I think by the end of all the tracks with So American, we see that, she's on this new journey with a new person, and it leaves us way more optimistic than Sour did. And that's not necessarily why I like Guts more. Again, this is just everything we got in Sour, just with more room, more runtime, and more expertise. This is now officially this is not Olivia's first rodeo officially, right? So she's able to look at the things that she did well or didn't do well, or things that she didn't like how she put there. And I like how she's still wearing her influences on her sleeves. Like I said, maybe the Cars, The Cure, things like that, but not as derivative. So they're not using necessarily the same chord progressions, but the same vibes, the same musical aesthetics, so to speak. Yeah, was not thinking I'd like this one as much, because I thought Deja Vu, like, the more removed I get from Sour, the more I just love the song Deja Vu, and I think that's unfair to the album just because, like, one song is painting this whole picture here. But really, I do think as a whole, it just got better. It just got better. I love that Sour perfectly sums up the experience of a 17-year-old. Guts does the same for a 19-year-old. The vocals, the upgraded punk rock sensibilities, the more lyrical knives. Guts is that girl. More lyrical knives, I think, is a really good way to describe it. I found myself going like, oh my God, like what? So much more in this album. In really the best ways. It never felt like she was reaching at any point. So that was my reaction to Guts Spilled by Olivia Rodrigo. Please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts down in the comments below. If you ever want to check us out live, make sure you click one of the links down in the description. And if you ever want to get any of these album reactions uncut, unedited, before they come out on YouTube, go ahead and check out my Patreon, where you can get just that for $1. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I encourage you to hit the dislike button and tell me why. But if you want to see me react to any other of your favorite artists, bands, or... no, I guess that's it, right? It would just be artists or bands. But if you want to see me react to any of your favorite artists or bands, please let me know down in the comments, and maybe I'll get to them. But with that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
diggity, diggity dog. Breaking, diggity, diggity dog.